Hey everyone, several months ago I made a video on this De'Longhi Magnifica Evo where I unboxed it, configured it, and reviewed it. After which I gave this coffee machine to my mother where she's been using it for several months without any complaints, except for one, but we'll get to that. Fast forward ahead, we're now at my mother's house with this machine because we have a couple things we're going to do. Before we get started, I ask if you could do me a favor and hit the like button down below or leave a comment in the comment section or do both. Helps me out a lot when you do because the way the algorithm works, I really appreciate it. I don't get paid by any of these companies and I won't interrupt my video to sell you VPN service. With that out of the way, let's get started. And it all kicked off from this change filter light. She saw this light and she called me. When I came over, I decided we're going to do everything, going through all the maintenance tasks at once. So first order of business, I'm going to shut off the machine. We have a jar that we keep under the spout so it doesn't fill up the tray. I do this at home as well. Just makes things easier. And once the machine has completed turning off, we'll proceed with our first task. And this will be the maintenance on the infuser. With the machine powered off, I'll now remove the water tank and put it out of the way, which is kind of funny because when you remove it, all the lights turn on. The cover of the infuser now revealed from where behind the water tank was located. I'll pull the flap down that's marked open, revealing the infuser. We can see coffee grinds on the inside of that cover. Pressing in the two red tabs, I'm able to pull the infuser straight out. Taking a quick look, we could definitely see that all of this was ready to be cleaned. And they make this so easy for the consumer. On my Eura, you have to spend a couple hours tearing apart the entire machine just to get to the brew group and then tear that out and disassemble it. Theirs isn't technically user serviceable. They want you to pay a lot of money to have them do it, so count your blessings. Looking inside the machine, we can see that coffee grinds got everywhere, and that's a theme of these automatic machines. We're going to clean that up now. I'll start off with the Dyson and a small bristle brush and clean up that front door. Then using the tiny brush attachment, I'm able to get inside the machine and very carefully clean a lot of those hard to reach areas where coffee grinds have made their way in. At this point, I'll fill a medium-sized basin with lukewarm water. When picking out a size of a basin, consider that the infuser is going to have to be submerged in it. This infuser looks absolutely delicious. We're just going to drop it right into the basin, making sure that it's fully submerged. Adding a little bit more water. Once submerged, we'll come back in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, I'll start agitating the infuser in the water. We can see as I do that, obviously the water is going to get nastier and nastier, and not everything is going to come immediately off, so I'm going to have to work at it. Large chunks of coffee being removed. Things are starting to look better, but I'm going to need to change out the water before I continue cleaning the rest of this off. Continuing the same process over again, I'm going to agitate it in the clean water, monitoring how much debris is appearing in the water to let me know when this cleaning process can stop, and clearly I'm not ready to stop. We'll take it out of the water and have a closer look, seeing where we are. This piece deflects off to the side and make sure there's no debris under that plastic. Also very important that nowhere on this metal plate is there any debris that might be impacting any of the holes. I'll continue rinsing a bit longer. But the cleaner the piece gets, the cleaner the water has to be. So I'm going to change it out one more time. And now we're working with clean water again to make sure that all the debris is gone. And at this point, I think we're good. Looking at the water, there's just very little debris. I think we're going to reach a point of diminishing returns. We have an extra step in this house owing to the water hardness, so I'm filling that basin one more time with water from the zero water pitcher. There's like 3 parts per million water hardness in here, and we're going to rinse out the infuser one more time in here to ensure that none of that scale from the water, from the kitchen, from the faucet, makes its way into here. So it's just a quick rinse. And the infuser's looking really good as compared to how we found it originally. Let's continue. The infuser is now reinstalled straight into the machine until an audible click is heard. Double check, everything's fit securely. I close the cover, completing this task. For our next task, we're going to want the machine running, so I am going to turn it on and let the machine prime. And I want to make sure that at this point, if I don't have the hot water nozzle in the machine, that I place it in now. I'll kick off this process by holding the descale button down for 5 seconds. Note there's not a descale alarm and never will be, because my water hardness is set for 0. But now we could see descale flashing. The tray will then be removed so we can be cleaned out, drained of any water as well as coffee grinds. Then it'll be placed back in the machine. Next, I'll be removing the water pitcher from that machine, and from that pitcher, I'll be removing the water filter. I don't need the filter, nor do I need the descaler, owing to the 0 water pitcher that I have. I do this only for demonstration purposes. With the filter removed and the water pitcher empty, we could see the annotation A, which is for the descaler solution. A free sample was included with the machine. Inside is the bottle of liquid and instructions. The bottle comes in a plastic bag, which I'll remove. The top of the bottle is then cut with a scissor, being careful not to squeeze the contents while you do it, or you'll make a mess. And then the entire bottle is poured into the pitcher. I'd be very careful and clean up a counter, especially one made of stone, after working with something like this, that it wouldn't eat away at the countertop. We could see it comes up perfectly to the line marked A. I'll fill the rest of the way with my 0 water to the line marked B. Placing the top cover back on the pitcher, I'll reinstall the pitcher into the machine. Then I'll press the descale button to continue the process. I'll tell you right now that this first part of the process is going to run for about 15 minutes until the water tank is empty, all the while pausing and cycling water through different portions of the machine to descale those systems. I would highly encourage you to find a Tupperware container wide enough to cover both nozzles and put them under them while running this procedure. We'll find out why later. Eventually we see the water pitcher alarm and we know we have to continue with the removal of the water pitcher. The pitcher will need to be completely rinsed to ensure that all the solution is gone. After rinsing it several times in the sink, I then further rinse it one more time with 0 water, only to remove the sink water from the inside of the pitcher. Then I fill it up with 0 water, doing so all the way to the max line. The tray is then carefully removed as it is almost completely filled with water to the top, at which point all components associated with the tray are carefully emptied and washed out in the sink. The tray is then reinserted into the machine, followed by the water. Then we press the descale button to continue to the next step. And here's where we run into some trouble, because without that Tupperware container, there's no way that tray is going to be able to contain all the water that's about to come out of the reservoir. With only a passive tray indicator, water just started pouring out everywhere, and I had to go and clean it up with the towel. However, I caught it pretty early, and I did use a container, but if you stepped away, it'll make quite a mess on your counter. It only came to a stop when the reservoir was empty, as it's supposed to. As I remove the tray, I'm very careful as the water is all the way up to the top, as we would expect. I got to get it over to the sink without spilling everywhere. Then I'll empty the tray out, after which I'm just going to give it a quick rinse. We can see where the max line is here, and where we filled it up with B that almost filled the tray. Why they didn't recommend a container be put under is anybody's guess. At this point, the filter could be swapped out for a new filter if the filter indication was on the coffee machine. We don't actually need a filter, but I'm going to put one in and pretend we're swapping it out as I fill it up to the max line with 0 water again. If there's no filter indication, just throw the old one in, followed by the replacement of the cover to secure the filter in place. The water reservoir is then installed back into the machine. Using a wide Tupperware container, because I've already learned my lesson, I press the descale button, letting it run the cycle one more time until the reservoir is completely empty. Noting that that container will not be able to hold all the water, so at some point I'm going to have to take the container and empty it, letting a little bit of the water go into the machine, which is fine, replacing the container and seeing it through to the end. Without that container under it, I'd just be mopping up another mess on the counter. With our alarm, it's time to continue. So all we have now is one last empty of the tray, one final refill of the water to the max line, Insert the tray and the water, and the descaling process is complete. Our change filter alarm is still on, and we've added a new filter, so we're going to prime it now. Holding down the configuration button for several seconds will bring us into configuration mode. We'll then press the clean button, which will light up the beans. If we press the beans, it means we're putting in a new filter. If we press the coffee grinds, it means we're not using a filter. So in this scenario, I press the beans for new filter, press clean to save my selection, and then I'll press clean one more time to start the priming of the filter. After filling about a mason jars full of water, this filter priming is completed. Taking a look at the front panel, there's no audible alarms and the filter light has gone out. As the coffee machine comes back up, all of the maintenance tasks have been completed. The one complaint my mother did have was adjusting the volume of coffee that's in the coffee cup. Though she was able to modify most other settings, she was not able to find this section 8.9 anywhere in the books. And neither could I, so I had to do some digging. And this is what we have to do. Instead of simply selecting coffee, this time we're going to hold the button down until it blinks quickly. Right now it's slow, and now it's blinking quick. We'll let go of it, and we're going to let it run until it comes up to the volume of coffee in the cup that's desired. I'll fast forward through the coffee brewing process, but once we reach the point that my mother gives me the signal it's at the right height, I press the button again to stop the process. Right there. And now as it finishes, that new volume of coffee is recorded in the system. There is a pre-programmed max value that'll eventually cut you off at if you don't hit the button, but it is much higher than the default value. And that concludes this video on the complete maintenance of this De'Longhi Magnifica Evo. I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, helps me out a lot when you do, and hit that subscribe button to be informed about more videos like this when they come out. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?